You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pace Radio Show. Tamara and I, we are live here on our YouTube channel, Twitter, and Facebook. Good evening, Tamara. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
Well, not too bad, you know. I'm just sort of,
Good.
I think we're getting a little bit of a test here, or a reduction of being used to warm weather, because right now we're in the single digits, and it's a little cool.
I'm wearing a toque.
I see that.
And
That
a
doesn't-
sweater. Like, it's chilly today. Like I said, we were talking before, like air conditioning yesterday to a toque and a sweater today.
Right. I seen online that you posted that were you baking bread or something? You're making some bread. Was that loaves of bread I saw there today?
Oh yeah, I made some sourdough bread today too, but I didn't whack my head making bread. I whacked my head making pastry. I made bread too, but then I made pastry.
Oh well, pastries. Was it cream filled pastries?
No, it was chicken pot pie pastries. We make chicken pot pie. So
do you make them without corn?
no corn.
Pardon me?
Peas and carrots and
Peas
chicken.
and carrots. All right. Yeah. I'm just a person who can't eat corn. That's all.
Yeah, no
corn.
corn.
There might be others out there with my condition that can't eat corn.
Yeah, no, we don't put corn in much of anything unless somebody asks for it. There's no corn in any of our pies.
Oh, okay.
None.
Good.
No.
Good to know. It's not as if
Maybe
you're
ones.
not as if you're down the street from me or anything, right?
No. And they're frozen, so I couldn't even mail them to you. It's,
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, they thawed out well before they got here.
right? Yeah. So what have you been up to? How's that contest going?
The plant is cut down and drying. So why don't we just run that video quickly? Quick discussion on that, and then we'll bring our guest in. All right, we'll get to Pat in a few minutes. Great, we'll be right back. Here's that video. There you go. There's the video. That's the contest. The plant, it'll be dry here shortly, and I'll get it all weighed, and we'll pick a winner within all the people who have entered the contest. So look for it next week. Sunday next week, I'll be announcing the winner.
Excellent. Good luck, everybody.
Yep, the contest form is still there. People can still enter. There's still lots of time to do that. So
when's the cutoff for entry? Is there a cutoff for entry?
Let's make it Sunday at midnight, because Monday I could do it for reefer reporters.
There we go.
On that, and I'll repeat it here as well so people know.
So Sunday at midnight, get your guesses in on Guess That Yield.
Yep. Guess the yield. And just, the little plant's just deceiving, okay? It grew, all right? And there was actually some buds on it, in case anybody was wondering. Okay? What do you say? Time to bring in our guest?
Absolutely.
That's right, exactly. He's a guy who's helped a lot of patients over the years, helping with cannabis and that. And then one day the police came along and stopped him and we'd like to welcome Pat Warnecke to the Pace Radio Show. How you doing, Pat?
Good, good. How you guys doing?
Not too bad.
Thanks for having me.
Tamara's had a bit of a boo-boo.
I hear that.
I'm all right. I'm fine.
Tough battling equipment. Equipment's tougher usually.
Yeah, well, usually. You got to be as tall as the equipment, though.
I'm not very tall either, so I understand that for sure.
But yeah. So you had a little bit of a rough run here for how long has this taken? Well, maybe we should let you start, telling your story first, but you just got done with a huge legal battle.
Sure, yes, absolutely. We initially had some of our stores raided in Edmonton, I guess, in 2017. Then in 2018 in Regina, we had Best Buds get raided twice in a row, day after day, and basically we've been in battle ever since. So 4.5 years ago, we started this battle. We went to court. They kind of put us in a hole, backed us into a corner. I guess they basically put us on publicly on the paper, front page of the newspaper, saying Saskatchewan's most wanted type stuff, and they gave us a bunch of charges. When we were just helping patients, that's all we were servicing, is helping patients access what they needed. That's it. We're a place for a reference place for people to come to get advice, get products they needed, and by doing that, obviously, it caused a lot of problems in the community. So we've been battling it ever since. We took a charter challenge approach to this, and the judge saw it our way. Yeah, everything went very well overall. We have a publications ban, so there's certain things I can and can't say.
Correct.
I can say what she said, and she basically said that there was sections of the criminal code that were of no effect, and it basically said that patients have a right to storefront. It was, first of all, it was a violation of our charter. She found it to be a breach and a violation of our charter rights as patients, and she said that patients have a right to have storefronts. Storefront access, and the patients have a right to high potency concentrates, extracts type thing too. So the arbitrary numbers that they have currently on the LP system doesn't sound like it'll suffice, which for obvious reasons. I mean, we all know whatever it is, 30 milligrams per milliliter. I don't know that is what it is now. I'm so used to the ACMPR.
No, it's the same. Everything's the same. Nothing's changed.
But I'm so entrenched with our old case at the old ACMPR. I didn't know if they changed it or not. But regardless, we had to have it higher than that, much higher than that. Not everybody knows that. And we had great help from our community, from amazing testimonies to point out exactly examples of why we needed certain things and what the barriers were with the current system, whether it be having too much carrier oil and stuff like that, or just not having storefront access. So the judge viewed that as being a breach, as well as the fact that which was a different one, but that patients shouldn't be forced to make extracts at home. There's no reason why licensed producers shouldn't be able to make all the extracts that are needed, which is a good thing for many reasons, but we'll get to that later. But regardless, it was a good decision. It really looks good for our case that's up and coming, and that's why I can't talk about the publications ban, is we actually have a formality ahead of us right now. So until November 18th, we still have a publications ban and whatnot in effect, and also then we have to appear in court and get everything formally dropped. The charges have to be formally dropped, publications ban lifted, and after that point in time, we can kind of start talking more about everything and start to move on, I guess. Yeah.
Right. Now I saw a list on online. It was actually on LinkedIn about some of the sections of the ACMPR that were struck down. I don't know whether those are things that you can talk about or can't talk about.
Correct. I don't have the list in front of me. I'm sorry, I should, but I don't have it in front of me. But yeah, those the list that was a list that the judge read out in court. That's not under the publications ban. It was already there was lots of people watching on TV and stuff, and when they read it out, so they're going to sort that out, I guess, over the next couple weeks. As far as the written won't be out until then, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll find out everything then. But
Yeah,
yes, we're still going through and digesting it. But the certain sections are relating to the Constitution Act, the ACMPR, and the CDSA, the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act. What was it? Section 5 of the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act, which has to do with distribution. So that part had to deal with, obviously, people like us that were selling and supplying, giving access to patients.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where that
Well,
came in.
that was in the Smith ruling. The
Yeah,
government
wasn't
just
that in
skipped
another? That's
over
just
that
the
part.
same thing.
So when the
No, but
Smith
I'm just
ruling
saying
got
with
all
the
the way to the
highlights,
Supreme
which we went through the
Court of
highlights. I was
Canada,
just doing
right?
the highlights. And the ACMPR ones that were changed, though, were 67.2, 144, and 93.1D. But they're all relating,
Mm-hmm.
but it was in relation to the CDSA is to be of no effect, as well as the Section 52 of the Constitution to be of no effect. The ACMPR rules that are of no effect that have to change were the 67.2, 144, and 93.1D. So, yeah. That's what they have to relate to. So it's
That's well, yeah. Well, that's a few different sections along the way. So obviously, this is another one of those. Over the years, patients end up going fighting in court. Chipping away at things, and getting it to be improved. And this is another chip at that system in order to make it better for people.
absolutely
Right.
100%. Yep. Yeah, I agree. And we have a couple more cases coming up with a couple more people in the community, and I think those will have some, chip away some more, put some dents in the armor some more, whatever it is. And we'll see what the posture of the government is after that, I guess. And I think it'll be interesting to see how they address Neil and Chris's case now compared to how they were addressing
Yeah.
it just recently. So I think it'll be interesting to see. I actually can't wait. I can't wait to find out what's going on and see what their posture is when they get
Yeah.
shown this, I guess.
Well,
Yeah,
what
because it should be.
my question would be because the ACMPR is under the federal jurisdiction, right? It's under Health Canada. We're recreational because they've given it all back to the provinces. The provinces have their own legislation for recreational market.
Yeah.
So basically, then the medical should just be regulated by the feds still, and they can give licensing for stores. How hard is that?
Yeah, there's a few different systems. I think that yeah, I mean that's how it should happen, and I think they should give it back to the patients and have keep the market separate. I think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah,
Regardless of the
absolutely.
way, they're going to have to revamp those rules, regulations. They're going to have to do consultations. They're going to have to do their study groups and whatever else the BS the government wants to say they have to do, and hopefully for once invite patients to the table to actually make the decisions, not keep on looking past the legacy folks and the patients and say, oh, we know better. We'll just bring some other white collar people that have never even smoked a joint before would come in with holding their beer and let them make some decisions on this industry. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Regardless, there's a time frame between now and when that happens, and we all know that takes time. So until then, somebody has to fill the gap and make sure patients get what they need. And the judge said that obviously that needs to happen too. So I think it's good for patients. Patients can start to get access. Hopefully, we can start curbing these the crises going on right now. It's absolutely awful with opioids and stuff right now, fentanyl and all the benzos and shit they have cutting these goddamn things these days. People just need access, and we saw people, in dire stress as soon as Best Buds shut down. We had a lot of people that came to Best Buds, so as soon as it was shut down, we immediately started getting phone calls like that night, people being in serious stress, and immediately by the next night we started hearing of overdoses. So it was sad, and we were going, holy shit. What do we got to do about this? And we did everything we could. It was very stressful on everybody. The whole team. The team was amazing, and I mean, it was just trying to run around and when we were scrambling to make everything happen. But we had to prioritize exactly who needed what first, type thing. And it was good that we had enough team organization to do that. But the reality is we shouldn't be put in that position, and either should pay patients. And the judge saw it that way. So, that's what the government is supposed to be there for, is to help people, not to put us in positions to make things worse. And I don't think that's That's not the way we have to move forward.
The patients always are the ones that get to suffer in these raids when people like yourselves who are, and like Tad and stuff who are strictly on the medical end of things and helping patients. What about the patients? They may turn around and say, well, there's a legal system, they should go that way, but that's not the answer to the solution. There's no high dose edibles for people who need it or dealing with opiates. There's no compassion. They call it compassion prices, but there's no compassion pricing like what they can get at some at places that are.
There's no information. There's no education. There's no guidance. There's no support. There's no, medical need, considering it needs everything. It needs a team of people, right? Mm-hmm. So basically, we need the moral support, everything, the support, the knowledge, the education that people were doing in the dispensaries with patients, like they do at TEDS, a compassion club. That's why they call them compassion clubs, right? That's right. Because we were trying to help each other to make sure that we all had what we needed and getting the information and the education that we all needed so that we could all survive through this fucking nightmare.
Absolutely. Right? And many of us had programs, to have programs to subsidize, low barrier access and to subsidize people that couldn't afford it or to subsidize different patients that needed it just couldn't afford it. These new stores don't do anything. They don't do anything to patients to start with. But they're all about corporate greed. They're not going to subsidize anything.
They're not allowed to. Like that's the thing in the legalized regulations. They're not allowed to. They're not allowed to speak of anything medical. So they're not allowed to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, they're getting shit for it. So when
the judge says
when the judge says that you're not getting store access, and then someone will say, well, there's like 3,500 stores across the country, but those aren't medical related locations.
That's right.
Where they can go in and get advice. Like the judge would say, I look at it as a medical location, a place where they can go in and get advice.
Well, you can go to a pharmacy and get advice on vitamin C, for heaven's sakes, from a pharmacist, right? From Tylenol, whatever. But you can't go anywhere medically and get advice on anything having to do with medical cannabis anywhere. Unless you Google it or somebody or you know what I mean, like pretty much you're at the mercy of your phone.
Absolutely. And and we were proud. We had everybody was trained, had a nurses training course online that we used, and every one of our employees was trained in that before they could serve. We had Stu Martin, who's amazing, and Stu knows his stuff, right? And Stu was there 4 days, 5 days a week to help people that needed the advice and so on. Because there was nobody. Doctors were coming to Stu for advice and coming to us for advice because they didn't know. And we developed such a rapport that all of a sudden we had doctors that were willing to prescribe. And that was tough to get on its own. But then when you have the doctors involved in it, then that's another thing we got to talk about here. That's the next move that needs to happen. And we need people to join this. We need a class action lawsuit against the College of Physicians. Because the College of Physicians, and I know Saskatchewan
is actively blocking in Alberta to every province.
So it's been actively blocking. We need to get a subpoena. We need to get subpoenas, but we also need to get court orders or warrants to get the letters that went out to doctors. Because I know for a fact, because I've seen one guy. We had doctors that we were close with, and he said, "Pat, what am I supposed to do about this?" And I took the page, and it said right from the College of Physicians in 2019 to stop prescribing cannabis to patients.
Oh.
Yep.
Well, that's a charter issue, obviously.
My doctor, my doctor said, I will tell, I say this almost at probably every show though, but I was told because my doctor signed us, both my husband and I here, no problems. We could grow our plants and stuff. Went back for our renewal a year later, and it took me a while to convince her, right? And, but she finally did. And we'd already been licensed from years before from other doctors, whatever. But then when I went back to get a renewal, she goes, "No, I can't." And I looked at her. She goes, "Why would I prescribe you 15 grams a day when you can go to the store and get 30?
Yeah.
So the College of Physicians back then had already informed them of what the legalities were. So they already knew that. So that was what I found so amazing, is that she knew the legal limit of how much cannabis was allowed to be gotten recreationally. Because I didn't tell her that, but she knew that, right?
Yeah. Well, but this is where we need the organization. We need people to organize, unite, get this together. This is what we can use as an obvious catalyst for this. And I mean, and some of the other decisions that we're going to see coming up, we need to organize as patients in each province, and we need to put it forward and do class action lawsuits against the College of Physicians, get those warrants to see that paperwork, and things will change. Things will have to change after that. At that point.
We need to find legal counsel that's willing to take our case.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, that can be found. I'm pretty sure.
In each province,
what I'm also going to propose is if everybody is going to be doing this, and there's going to be we need to some way to fund it. So I mean, if dispensaries and cannabis clubs are going to start up again and do something for the cause, I would encourage some kind of tax that they register and take away from it, so that either goes back to fighting the cause and helping the legal funds to move this forward, whatever it's 1%, whatever it is, and take that. And we're not charging other tax, because obviously we're trying to fight for medical patients to not pay taxes, but we have to, as a group, be able to do something like this to collect that, so that we can fund it to go forward, and and get patients the class action lawsuits in each province, and do that. And it's going to be a fight, but I don't think it's that much, to tell you the truth.
Now, as far as the College of Physicians, is it not just one spot you could go at it, or as far as trying to get it in all the provinces?
Well, healthcare is under the province,
if you get it in one, you can make changes, but you get a class action lawsuit in each. Well, it's time to pay some bills to people and stuff, and get some shit taken care of, and let these shops open up. And now let these shops be untouchable, because each province has got a different slap on the hand to say, fuck off, let these dispensaries be. Yeah. These are people that need to be left alone and respected to do this. And then maybe we get to a point where we can have a farm to table type position like Colorado, where you have patients or whatever working and growing in the back. It gets all the growers and stuff. They get together. It comes as one big happy family kind of farm. And from the growing in the back to the selling and in the front to making edibles and stuff in between, it can happen. And I've seen some good programs. I've seen the Colorado programs and California programs. They work well. I mean, if we can get to that point, it's a good, efficient system that's going to cut back on the costs, and everybody that needs to get involved can get involved, and they can keep it secured, and everything that the government is going to come up for stupid rules and regulations that they're going to try to be, shitty about. But I mean, whatever. If we have to abide by it, all I'm saying is a farm to table type system where patients can be ran by patients and for patients at as low profit as possible. That's a winning system. And now, what does it take?
The thing is, with compassion clubs back up and running, that means that people will be able to get a designated grower again, because a designated grower will be able to have a market to actually take his,
Yeah, but
that's where we're at. There's no designated growers hardly at all anymore. Everybody's
so that's an inherent problem. So instead of having that inherent problem, like I said, having these community grows is a second way of doing that. It's tougher and tougher for people to be able to grow, especially with landlords and everything else. I mean, and let's let the growers grow. The people that want to grow and they got their own steps, let's encourage them. Let's get them included. Let's get those legacy people included in this system. And if they already have their setups, perfect. Let's get them hooked up with certain clubs and they're responsible for. But we just need to make a system that is there. And all that's just organization.
Yeah, a co-op system. A co-op system where you can go in. Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, it's gonna take some organization because the scrutiny behind it, but it's not hard. It's not impossible to do. Yeah. I mean, it's been done before. Yeah. We've helped Craig, my brother and I. We've helped some communities, First Nations communities in Canada, organize and help with setting up their cannabis programs. That, like if you look in Saskatchewan, for example, Saskatchewan announced in June that they will not touch shops on reserve land in Saskatchewan. And that's because a lot of these places have better programs than the government does. We helped develop it. We know that it does. We went and took the best practices from Colorado, California, Oregon, everything else, and we put the best practices together. Health Canada doesn't have the best practices in anything. We know that from testing to anything. So if we go and we have a better program than the government, we present that as our solution to what happened, that how we want it as patients, instead of letting them dictate everything. Then all of a sudden we have a program. And if we came with our program and our shit in order and said, hey, Health Canada, here's what we see the program happening. Is there any problems with this? What would be your suggestion from this? Instead of letting them dictate everything, if we came together as a group that had, again, some power, because we're holding these fists full of paper that we came from the College of Physicians saying, you fucking owe us one. You fucked us over here. We need to get this shit together, and you need to have some kind of amends for this, and we need to have a growing program. This one seems to be suited pretty good. Why don't we do this? Instead of letting them dictate everything, come at them with something. Have a solution to the problem. Don't come there and be like, oh, well, we have a problem. Well, then they're going to come up with a solution, and then we're not going to like it. And then what? Then we got to go through this shit again? Come with a fucking solution and say, here, you guys have a problem? So do we. Here's our solution. If you have a problem, let's talk about it. I don't know.
Because in this upcoming review that they're doing, that we have until the end of November, or around that area.
Yeah, well, that's not a big wrench in it, I'd say.
What's that?
I would say this just gave it a big wrench.
Yeah, yeah, because 5.1, 2, and 3 are all around the medical end of things that I seen in it, and people get submitting things. They ask the question about improving it. Co-ops right there. That's obviously a way to improve things.
Absolutely, it needs to be a comprehensive program that we give to them and say, this is how we see it going.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, let's admit they're trying to absorb medical into recreational. So unless we all go as groups, organized groups, unless we go as groups and we go as organized groups, and we again sue or litigate with the College of Physicians, that puts us in the holding power again to say, you kind of fucked us on this one, and you're trying to absorb us in. We're a separate program, and by having that a distinct separate program, that'll allow us to get into a position to do the co-ops. If not, we're going to have to eat what we're fed and then fight for more, and that's it.
Right.
And this is an ongoing process, and we'll be here in 10 more years discussing, hey, well, guess what? We finally got this, you know what I mean? And that's what it'll be.
Yeah. In the past, there's been victories, and but there's also been, those victories have been followed by very small incremental changes. Yeah. Like, obviously, I don't know all these sections and things that were defeated. Is there things in there that, do you know of offhand, that could just end up being an incremental change that could just, fire you up again?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand what you're saying as far as what.
Oh, okay. There was at one time there was a thing, like, for example, for growing, where a patient they wanted to grow for more than one person, and we won the right to be able to grow for somebody else. Instead of being able to grow for like 3 people, we can only grow for 1 person.
Yeah.
So
those arbitrary changes, those small arbitrary changes can go a long way for sure. Because, I mean, let's admit it, there's some people that have some big farms and some big grows, and they could be growing for more people. Everything should be taken into consideration. It should be a little bit more fluid than be so rigid and structured, right? So I think that that has to be taken into consideration. For sure it does. But that's why, again, we're a co-op program where you can have this guy with this farm, whatever, as long as he's within this program, whatever, if they want him to register and keep track of it or whatever, maybe we have to appease something, but we need to come to the table on that. We need to have solutions on that. But I think there's a lot of small arbitrary changes like that would happen. I don't know any offhand. I don't know offhand.
Well, here's the thing what they did with the recreational limits. Like, there's no storage limits with recreational. You can go and access 30 grams. You can buy more than 30 grams. They just put it through as 2 separate transactions. You can have pounds sitting in your house. There's no limitation on that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Is there just shouldn't be any limits on it. I mean, if we treat it like the commodity it is, and but not so overvalued.
But medical, they still have us with limitations on the 150 grams to travel. Yeah, as medical, right?
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Like, so absolutely. Why is it that recreational has storage, right? You can have storage, but you can't travel with any more.
I've actually never thought about that. To tell you the truth, I've been so consumed in my own case for the last little while. I never thought about that. And honestly, I have an old MMAR, so I really don't give a shit. I kind of carry what I carry, and that's it. But honestly, that has to change. That's just an obvious thing. I think that has to change. Yeah. So all those kind of little things, we have to go through it with a fine-tooth comb as a community and address things like that and say, okay, let's look at this one. This doesn't make any fucking sense. Well, this one doesn't make any sense. But that's what we should do is if we can get some kind of focus groups or study groups, and everybody can kind of, contribute their 2 cents type thing. We can look at this list, go talk to a lawyer or a group and say, okay, well, here's what needs to happen. Here's what needs to happen. Here's what needs to happen. But if we are to organize and be able to do that in this time period when, things are going to be changing here, I think it's a good idea. And I think if people can organize, people like yourself and people like us and, just like the government's doing, they're doing the exact same thing. Right.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we don't know what they're taking actually into consideration when they hear it. It might be going one ear and out the other. They already have their plan, right? There's
been a lot of that over the years. In one ear and out the other.
I was a part of the AFN Cannabis Consortium, and I saw that happen. I won't get any specific names or numbers right now, but it was definitely a liberal connected guy who took advantage of it, but it basically went in one ear and went out the other. And they already had their plan. And I knew they had their plan because I overheard a conversation. They were just doing it for the show. They're just hearing what people were saying for show. And
requirement doesn't mean they're going to do anything with it.
That's right. Yeah. So at least if we hear it, we can put it to use. And what would happen is if they come up with their survey, instead of us going, well, no, we don't like that, we go, well, there's a reason we don't like that because we think these are better. Yeah. Right? It gives us an argument again instead of just eating what we're fed. So I don't know. I think we have to. We've all been kind of lazy. I know I have myself for doing shit in the last couple of years because I've been so consumed with my own thing. But
yeah, exactly.
And I've been kind of a hermit. We'd be kind of with my family, kind of literally in the woods with skiing and doing our thing just to relax while we're doing all this crap that we were doing here. But that's the next thing that we have to focus on as a community. Put some time and put some effort in. If we want change, we have to make change and not just hope for change. That's not going to work. My dad used to say, you can hope in one hand and shit in the other. Guess what? You're left with at the end of the day, right? So, it's not going to happen, right? So, yeah. So I don't know. If you guys could help us out with that password, I don't know, organize with that. I think you guys would be amazing at that.
We can help pass the word, but we're going to go for break right now.
Thank you.
We pass that along. Okay, and after the break, Tamara and I will continue our talk with our guest, Pat Warnecke. This is the Pace Radio Show. We're live here on the Pace Radio Network.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
Pace Radio Network. By patients, for patients, and for those who want to know.
BMA Hydroponics has everything you need to succeed. Visit our hydroponics superstore at 404 Maitland Drive in Belleville and we'll show you how to grow your own quality cannabis for pennies per gram. We're open Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Thursdays and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Call 613-967-9888. BMA Hydroponics. It's worth the drive. The only way to go.
CP operates a medicinal cannabis signing clinic. If you want to grow your own medicinal cannabis and are located anywhere in Canada, then I'd like to suggest that you give them a call. They can be reached at 1-613-967-9888. That's 1-613-967-9888 and grow on with CP. Let's share Pace everywhere. That way it can help create peace. People everywhere advocating cannabis education.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more. We've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Hello and welcome back tonight. Tamara and I, it looks like Al's over there on the other side right now. Tamara's not back yet from the break. But
That's right. I'm sorry.
there you are. But tonight we are joined by our guest, Pat Warnecke of the Best Bud Society, as well as Dabster. And we'll get into the Dabster app throughout the show here. But I still want to talk about your case here. When you first came on the show, you started explaining things. You mentioned something about high dose concentrates. Now, was there anything along that line to deal with edibles?
I can't remember if she said specific edibles. I think it was she just said extracts, high potency extracts. Yeah, concentrates extracts. Yeah. But I mean, I would guess that that's all in one, basically, because I mean, you're basically doing the same thing, right?
Yeah, because I'm looking at it. Would that go at the 10 milligram limit that is imposed by the government?
Again, that's a recreational thing. It's gonna have nothing to suffice on us. So that's not going to suffice. It doesn't cross with us at all. And if you can have an extract, and she knows exactly what it was for. We explained exactly what the FICO was for.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if everybody knows full extraction cannabis oil. For everybody out there that doesn't know, we call it FICO. So and when people put that in their mouth with the syringe or whatever, and take a chunk of it, I mean, whether you take it that way or you took it in an edible, it's the same damn thing. So I mean, I think that's an arbitrary argument. Even if they tried to impose that, I think it's arbitrary.
Well, it's always been cannabis in all forms, right? Yeah. Which is whether you take that, FICO and put it into a brownie recipe, or candy or gummies or whatever, because how else do you make it? Well, you can use canna butter and other things, but I mean, in reality, you want high potency edible, you want to use a high potency. Yeah,
absolutely.
Extract.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many cases and so many patients out there that need those high dose, especially with addicts and people with those kind of problems and pain. We had a program running at Best Buds in 2019, 2019, late 18, 19, after the raids. And we were trying to get some cooperation with the government, with Health Canada. And it was amazing how well it worked. We under scrutiny with the community that we were working with. And, how fast it worked and with the people that worked with, we heard so many compliments right away, and to not have access for that for people is criminal. Because I mean, these people need 700-800 milligrams, like boom now at night type thing, of FICO, and I mean, and during the day they still needed to have probably the equivalent amount. So, but just to curb the hunger pangs and the rest of the problem that goes with withdrawal, all the pains that go with that. They need those high dose edibles and or oils. I wouldn't suggest edibles if you had to eat that many edibles. I guess it's probably not very good either. But we all know that it's well needed. So I think this is a step in the right direction for sure.
Is there room for them to? Well, I know the recreational has that 10 milligrams, but if they have to allow storefront access, would they not have to allow a higher milligram dosage for patients?
Well, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
They have to come up with a whole new thing for the medical end when it comes to dosing of edibles, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're going to be, between the collaboration that's going to have to happen, I think between the provinces and the federal regulations because of this now, if they want to amalgamate the two parties, and if not, like Tamara said, or the two divisions, I guess, and if not, they just have to keep patients separate, keep recreational separate. Simple as that. And
they're going to have to.
All that, the confusion,
they're going to have to.
And if they tried to merge them, I mean, you're talking years from now until they're able to actually merge it and figure out, well, because they're going to do study groups, they're going to do this, they're going to do that, and whatever else.
They will only have 90 days.
It's not going to happen.
No, if there's a ruling and in your favor, Health Canada is only usually given about 90 days to change things. There's not very much consultation done, and that's what happens every time they change the MMPR to the MMAR, or from the MMAR to the MMPR to the ACMPR. You know, it only takes 90 days. It doesn't take and that's why they miss shit, and they screw things up, and it's just.
Well, they have to get the right people to the table too, and it's gonna take time. And if they want to do that and amalgamate and do all these kind of funny ass changes, they're better off just to leave it and say patients can have what they need when they need it. Here's their program. They take care of themselves, and the recreational over here. Yeah. But let's admit it goes back to the fact that it shouldn't be kept separate anyways. For the most part, I mean, recreational, yes, there is recreational, but in some way or another, most of it's medical. I mean,
absolutely, I agree. I agree.
Yeah, like why couldn't you, for example, I don't know what the well, each province has their own setup, right? But here in Ontario, you know, we have where it's all owned by, you know, the public. It's private. It's all private owned. It's not a government owned thing. Yeah. You know, why couldn't they? If you lived here in Ontario, it'd be nice for you to be able to open a recreational store. But within the recreational store, why couldn't you have a division that deals with patients? It's the medical end of things.
Well, yeah, and in the perfect world, that's what they should do, and then do it like, you know, how Colorado started doing the same thing. Then they'd have do that, but that's in the perfect world. But in the perfect world, the legacy people would already be into the industry, and they probably have those stores, which they don't. So that's the biggest problem.
In the perfect world, we'd all be growing in the back of our warehouse.
Exactly.
And we'd have a storefront. Exactly. And all we'd be doing is producing our own strains and making our own edibles and doing our own stuff and throwing it out and have a storefront.
The reason they're not going to have that, Al, and I think it is a good solution. I think it's the way it should be. And just like Tamara said, like we discussed earlier, farm to table right there, get everything done. Yeah. But they should go even a step further, like Colorado does, where 30% of what you sell has to be grown by you. So then it keeps what that does is that's a barrier to entry. So now you have to have legacy people involved instead of a bunch of white collar people coming and taking over the industry. You actually have to have people involved if you want to have a good store and make a name and reputation.
And you have to have variety, and you have to have good quality, and you know what I mean. That's the thing. That's what it's always should have been. Like I had dreams of that. Like, oh, it's going to be legal right on. I can get this big bay, and there's a little office outside. There's the storefront. You know, like a little restaurant off to the side with infused foods. Like there's so much, you know, the industry could have done.
But here's the problem at this point.
And we had medical too, right?
Yeah. Here's the problem at this point now with that is, what do you say? If you have this side medical, this side recreational, you have to have two different stockpiles now, two different safes. Do you know what I mean?
I guess that comes down to how they write the regulations, but
exactly.
I can understand your question.
There's a lot of changes that have to happen to who's selling product, who's getting what product, who's getting, you know.
Well, here you have to go to the government. Like everything from the LP has to go to the LBD, and then the LBD sends it out like alcohol, right? Yeah. So even though the coconut beer is made at the coconut plant, it still has to be distributed by an LBD driver. It's ridiculous.
Like I'm thinking of you can go to Guardian.
You
can go to Guardian Drugs. You can go in. You can pick up some aspirin in the general store. But if you've got a prescription, then you go back to the back counter where they deal with the prescription end of things. You know, so
yeah.
But be open to everybody and anybody to do it. Like it's you know. It's this.
Yeah, it should be open to everyone. That's for sure. The problem is a lot of us were never allowed to be a part of that market because of helping patients before.
Correct.
So we totally got sewered for us in Saskatchewan because of being involved before.
I'm working in a fucking bakery, man. I'm not doing anything. I'm working in a fucking bakery. Like seriously, I've been retired since legalization. It sucks.
Yeah.
So. Because everything just went to shit. Nobody called, wrote, or bothered when they can go down 2 blocks to a store. And then once they could go in and buy chocolate and drinks and stuff, then it was like, oh, we don't even want your candy anymore.
And you know, like they shouldn't, like, for somebody who's helped patients in the past, people who have grown to help people, they should not be victimized by the system to prevent them from being involved. And unfortunately, that's the way it is. Like,
you have a criminal record, you're not allowed in.
Well, the thing is, I'm walking away here probably without even a criminal record, right?
No, I
And I
didn't. I
still
got
can't get in
arrested.
for life now, and I still won't be able to get in for life now. Even after I changed the law, and they said that this and that, whatever happens here, they still probably will never let me into the industry now.
I know.
So that's
I
the
feel
part that's got to change right there.
I feel
Yeah.
you. I sent 4 grams in the mail to another patient. Trafficking, 10-year firearm prohibition. I know. I feel you.
Yeah, it's awful. And until that changes, the division of the whole industry will continue, and the problems of the industry will continue until there's acceptance, until there's some kind of amends to make everybody included that should be included in this. It's going to keep on, for a long time having some serious division, and it's unfortunate, but it's the way it is, and rightfully so. People that help build that and know what they're doing should have a job or be able to get employed in this industry. Simple as that, right?
Yeah, you helped people. You didn't harm people.
You know what? We have a friend in Montreal that's legacy from like the HIV activism, working as a trimmer at a licensed production site for less than $20 an hour.
Yeah.
And that's just a slap. Like that's like, and I was, offered a job. I said, I'm overqualified to be trimming your pot for $18 an hour.
Yeah.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, well, yeah, and some of these LPs are bringing in temporary workers from overseas and stuff, right? For international, they're bringing Mexicans in, they're bringing other people in, and they're having basically ATCO trailers. They set up ATCO trailers and have people basically like slaves. The same thing as I saw when I used to work at Strikes for Tyson Foods before. It's the same thing. Well, that was the corporate approach. Back, I was on a couple of radio shows and TV interviews back in 2017, and I said, I'll bet you that 70-80% of these companies are gone within 5 years. Lo and behold, here we are.
Well,
there
was a merger announced this today. Tigon is gone. Yeah, the green organic Dutchman is now merged in with somebody by the name of Bazam or something. They're a company from out west.
Yeah. Well, there's so many problems there. And I haven't really followed that all the way through from the beginning. I mean, we were MMPR number 40 in the original applications. And so we really watched that with a fine-tooth comb. And we got all of our access to information files to watch and see exactly how many people were jumping ahead and how they're jumping ahead. We still never got rejected. We're still on file. Apparently, it was an open application. Yeah, MMPR number 40. And so you can easily prove how corrupt it is just by getting the access to information files and see who all got licenses and who didn't throughout the years, right? So it's a bunch of
why
bullshit.
is yours still sitting there after all this time? You don't even deserve a response. Like what?
Exactly.
Well, here's the funny thing. What happened to me one time, because we didn't sign one line from where our production site was going to be, they sent everything back, including the envelope that I sent it in, with a letter saying, this is not like you haven't applied. Now that you've got this back, there's no record of you ever applying for this. So you better get this signed and send it back.
From the start. And I can't wait to actually tell now this decision's done. There's a certain radio host in Saskatchewan, Gormley, I need to go on and get and have a chit chat with, because he was being a real fool to us about our predictions and what we said about this industry in 2017. So I can't wait to be telling him, hey, didn't we say something like this online? And he actually laughed at us online. And I was like,
I'm an asshole. I'm a real asshole. And I don't even fucking, we had, all these payments served and all this stuff and the, abundance of money and stuff. And I look at people, I go, think a pothead. And they look at me and go, what? Okay. I said, legalization's brought $5.8 billion to the COFRs for our general COFRs. So when you got all this money that you're living, serve, and you don't have to pay it back, and, you got all this fucking, there's, stuff happening, think a pothead.
Yeah. A lot of good things happening from it, but at the same time, it's also getting taken out of, let's say, like the BC community, for example. BC's hurting now. This was a big industry out here, and now it's not. This was feeding.
That's what I was saying. All the growers have stopped growing because it got no market, because all the dispensaries got shut down, and they were always taking their overage to the dispensaries. Even the legal market, like I was buying from a grower in the valley, right, in Creston and all through Nelson. That's where I would buy my pounds and stuff from. They don't grow anymore because it's not worth their time when a pound's only $300 fucking a pound.
Yeah,
$300 fucking dollars. Like what?
Yeah.
I mean, I know
Who
we
would have
wanted
thought
to drop
that?
down
Well,
to
here's the
that.
thing that's going to happen next.
We
you guys,
always said we wanted it to cost the same amount as tomatoes. Well, now that it costs the same amount of money as tomatoes, or not quite, there's no market for it.
Yeah.
It's flooded. You can't give this shit away.
I know a guy that was planning on growing. He just said, "Forget it. I can go to the store and buy it cheaper." Is what his thought was. I don't know.
I don't know about the store. You can't go to the store cheaper. I'm very good at the stores doing that.
You can buy ounces at a store legally for like $69.99 plus tax.
Yeah, but I wouldn't smoke that shit.
Oh, it's good. I've bought some. It's not bad. That's a thing, Todd. I hate to say it, but they've got good growers now because they've taken the legacy growers. We've got like.
I haven't seen anything yet.
I don't know.
Give me anything at that price yet. Show me it was any good.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can get really nice pounds for cheap right now. But what's that?
I bought 3 pre-rolled joints because it said that it was terpene.
They're terrible.
Yeah, terpene
coated
pure
or something, eh?
Yeah.
And it said premium cannabis on it. So then I asked the guy at the counter. I said, "What's this premium cannabis?" And he couldn't really answer my question. Just gave me big runaround on just saying something, but he couldn't tell me what it was other than it just said premium cannabis on it, and I just sort of chuckled. But and then it ended up being like freaking little joints. I had to laugh at that too. But
I know if they're half a joint and it's sawdust. It tastes like sawdust.
Yeah,
I gotta tell you my pre-roll story, and because I never buy pre-rolls. I actually don't usually smoke joints. I'm an extract guy. So my truck broke down. We were in Tofino last year, and it had to go to Port Alberni. So I had to go there for the day. And they got a bunch of construction going on the highway. So we have to wait behind the highway. So anyways, it was basically gonna waste my day, and I had to go all the way there and all the way back, and it was hours and hours. Anyways, so I was like, well, shit, I got nothing with me. I needed something to smoke if I'm gonna be stuck behind this closed road closure for 4 hours with nothing to do. So I said, shit. So it was the only time, it was the first time I went to an LP shop, first of all, the only time I ever bought something there. And then I came out and I bought pre-rolls. I never buy pre-rolls. So I'm sitting there and I lay it up and I'm thinking, holy shit, this is brutal. This is why I don't buy pre-rolls. And just I'm thinking that I'm kind of caught up and I'm reading it. And RCMP walks right up to my fucking car because I'm sitting in line waiting for trucks off, waiting for construction. So I'm, Jesus, trying to get smoke out. I'm putting it away. Of course, the only time I smoke a joint is a pre-roll, and I'm in my car. But I was on the highways parked. There's a big road construction. But he smelt it, so we had a good talk, and we ended up being a pretty good guy, and we had a good chat about mushrooms and everything else, and it was okay. And he's like, I don't blame you. It's a little road closure. He was actually a drug identification.
It's legal. They don't give a fuck now. That's a thing,
old school, right? And I'm from
right.
Saskatchewan.
I know, right? I know. You just get all pinned up. You see a cop. It's like, holy fuck! But they don't give a fuck now.
Well,
it's legal.
I always see them coming, but it was literally everyone's parked, and I'm usually pretty good at not getting caught or getting stopped. It was just the scariest moment. It was like I was 16 again, and I've never had that for years. Most of the time, I'm the guy that'll smoke and blow it out in their direction, but I'm in a car right now. I'm like, oh Jesus Christ, right? So yeah, that's kind of it was my only time having pre-rolls. So that was my first pre-roll from a LP. That's how it went down with me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting, hey?
Yeah.
We ended up being a pretty good guy, and we had a chat. I honestly don't think you could get away. You couldn't do that in Saskatchewan still. And Megan, my wife, she's here right now, and we actually had a time in Saskatchewan where our whole car got pulled apart for literally about 2 grams of weed, and we had babies in the back, and it was hot as hell out. We were coming back from a funeral, and I had my paperwork for my prescription, which said I had a very big license at the time. So it was a full fiasco, and it was hours long to sit there with my paperwork, with my old pink sheet. And it's amazing how far we've come since then. But that's when when we're conditioned like you guys are from that age, and all of a sudden doesn't much matter. You're in a car and you're smoking a joint. Cop comes up, you just shit, right? So yeah. we're old school conditioned, all three of us probably, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kids now are going around. I saw kids smoking at the bus stop yesterday. He was smoking his vaporizer, and the other guy was smoking a joint. These kids must have been 16 years old. I'm like, fuck, back in the day, we would have been shitting our pants. We'd have been behind the corner in the alley, keeping quiet about it. These guys are just doing it right on
it's
the damn
still not
street.
legal for them. Like if they're underage and they're, they're still not, they're not,
But it's a different age now, right?
right?
Yeah. Like we were sitting in a crowded parking lot, thinking that it was the cars were empty, but in the parking lot, thinking that we were safe. And the next thing you knew, there was headlights racing right at us. And Buddy in the passenger
Cops.
seat, he was in the middle of rolling up a hash doobie. So like when they opened the car quickly on us, Buddy put his hands up like this and dropped the hash out of his hand. So it's, you just that's what it was like for us in the old days.
Yeah, because you couldn't get weed. All you could get was hash in the back in the late 80s. There was not a lot of weed around. It was mostly hash, right? Yeah, hash and tobacco and a paper.
Actually, you know what? The first time I met Chris and I think it was Heidi at the time. I'm not sure. I think it was. It was the first time I met them. We were in Halifax, and we went out back, we went to the car out back, and went to Smoking Jay, and we got rolled up on some cops too. And we had quite a moment. The cops picked the wrong car to go at it with. I'll tell you that much. We were all dippa. We know this and that. We got the right. It was a pretty funny moment, and we just kept on smoking. And it was pretty funny. Yeah. Good moment for the community. That's for sure.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Well, that's the thing. You always got to push the envelope a little because you don't get change unless you do, right? And that's the thing. It's been that way since the beginning of the program. With people taking the government to court on unconstitutional challenges against the freedom for us to be able to what we can do for our medical needs, right? Because we do have that right constitutionally. So again, it's something that patients have fought for, got the legalization that we didn't really want. Like this isn't really what we asked for, especially if you're medical. It's got nothing to do with medical. This legalization is not medical in any way, shape, or form. So if you're a patient, this is not what we asked for. This is sure we get access. As far as affordability, there's no affordability. Sure, patients have access, but that's not the access they need or require either, right? So here we are again, but people like yourself going to court and fighting for other people's rights to be able to access what they need.
Yeah, we need change. We need it to happen, and the new system isn't going to help the old system at all. And I think they just thought we were stupid, and that we'd go, oh, okay, let's just go over here, and it's all good. And then when it didn't happen, and then they kind of forced their hand, I think, with the College of Physicians to try to push it that way to make it so, and be like, oh, they'll just go away. We'll just stop giving them prescriptions. They'll figure it out. They'll have to get it somewhere. And I think that was their whole plan. And by the way, it looks like that. So
no, the College of Physicians have been blocking, at least in Alberta, like forever. Because I was in Lethbridge. My doctor in Tabor wouldn't sign the papers. He got me all the testing I needed, and I had to fly to Ontario to get cameramen to sign my first license. Then when I moved to Hannah, or up to Coronation, the doctor in Hannah went, it's my clinic. I don't give a fuck what they say. If you say it works, okay. I believe in quality of life, he said. Yeah. So he signed my papers with no issues. And then I moved back to Cranbrook here, and it took me 13 months to get a doctor to begin with. And then once I finally got her to agree to it, she did. She signed both Alvin and I for the first year. Like I said, after the second, because legalization had happened then, right? She wouldn't renew them. She just said, you can go to the store. Why would I get, why? I explained I need plants. I want to, do my own, baking and stuff. And
that could be happening to more patients that are out there as well, that are dealing with that.
Yeah, we have to start get patients to start getting word out. Sorry?
Yeah, there was one survey that came out from the government, and the government survey that they did showing that over 50% of the people who go to the store do for medicinal purposes, and they're not even a medicinal location or place. They're just recreational stores, and need places like what you were doing, Pat, in order to help people and to be, legal to do so.
Yeah, I agree. There's, when people come in looking for answers, they want answers. They want answers from professionals or people that are of the community and are experts because they went through it and they know stuff, that's lacking, and not have that those references and those resources for people to go to. I mean,
or have people that don't consume it, period, working behind the counter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And like, and the one store that I do go to, I like they've got suppositories and they've got tinctures and they've got caps and and I looked at her, I said, what's recreational about any of this stuff? She goes, I hate that shit. It's just a liability. I just wish they'd take that out of here because I can't, I don't even know how to, I just kind of, oh, okay.
I seen facial scrubs at a store. Who uses facial scrubs recreationally? And actually, one store near me has a wellness section. And I'm going, how do you have a wellness section if you're not supposed to be talking medicinal?
100%. Yeah, there needs to be changes. But that's, again, it's going to be up to all of us to fight to require a separate system.
Yeah.
Well, I think there is going to be changes because we had a guest on that said that wasn't she bringing one of her topicals to the legal market? And it was like we had
a guest said that was,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
And was bringing a topical through some legal buds or something, licensed producer in Alberta.
Interesting.
Yeah. And she's got all these certifications and stuff from, to do this. I don't know.
Oh, yes. I mean, yeah. All right. Commercial break. When we return, Tamara and I will continue our talk with our guest, Pat Warnecke. You're watching the Pace Radio Show. We are live here on the network.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
Who has huge buds? You do. If you shop at BMA Hydroponics, attend one of BMA's educational seminars and learn the secrets of growing, harvesting, processing, and consuming quality cannabis and cannabis products. Learn how to make better extracts, edibles, and medicinal creams at prices you can afford. Visit BMA Hydroponics at 404 Maitland Drive, Belleville, or call 613-967-9888.
The only way to go. Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Pace Radio is the people advocating cannabis education radio network.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
Did you know that the Pace Radio Network isn't just a radio network? That's right, because most, but not all of our programming is now done via video and is then podcasted at paceradio.net. So if you want to watch our programming, you'll find us on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook page, plus the show's own page, and you'll find us live on the network's YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can find it all, video and audio, at paceradio.net.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
And we are back for our last segment tonight. Now, Pat, throughout the show, we've been talking about your court challenge and other situations around that. What we haven't talked about is Dabster.
Yeah.
Could you last I talked to you, you got me to reduce the temperature when I was doing my dabs, and I've just so you know, I have kept to that. I've kept my temperatures down.
And how is that?
What's that?
And how is that?
Well, it's working fine with a much lower temperature.
Tastes better, hey?
Yeah, much better.
Go cough as much. It's nice like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet you I'm probably running about 60% the temperature than I was running before. So,
oh yeah.
Thanks for that. But you've got a way to help people when it comes to temperatures, when it comes to dabbing.
Yeah, for sure. We have I don't know if you can see it in front of my face here. Little Dabster is what it is. And it basically goes underneath your banger if you're having dabs. Just a nice little square box. Sits underneath there. And it goes works with an app on your phone. The app's on Google Play and the Apple Store. And basically the app has a gauge on it and temperature, visual gauge and temperature readout, and you can set all the parameters you want as far as what your high end and low end is you want, or you can have the presets. You can have different profiles set in. So if you want, a higher temperature for something that's like more THC, like diamonds. Diamonds is a higher temperature concentrate usually to have, where terp sauce and something like that would be at a lower end. So you can have different profiles set up for different products, and you can hit that perfect temperature point. Because realistically, anything over 451 degrees is combustion. So anything over that is not good for your lungs. It starts to not taste good and it gets burnt. So and different products just have better boiling points, and simple as that. So and every product is different too. So different strains all have different boiling points and different they have different profiles. So at the end of the day, patients can really get what they need too. They can go to a really low point, so you can have your presets for low dab. So if you want to get some of the terpenes and stuff that are at the lower end of the scale, you can have that, and you can get those medical effects of that without having to get the high THC effects, where the high THC is a higher temperature cannabinoid that boiling point. So yeah, you can really be specific on what terpenes and cannabinoids you take in as a patient if you'd like, or you can just have a safe blast. Either way, yeah. Works well. It's easy. It's rechargeable. It's very durable. It comes with a year warranty. We sold out the first order. We're waiting. We have problems with China. Unfortunately, that's how it is. But they should be here right away. Should be here in the next couple weeks again. And it's going well. We hope to be able to have everybody enjoying proper dabs all the time. It's funny. I've been into some crazy shows and events and stuff like that, and not for cannabis, but for concerts. I went backstage at a concert one time. One of my friends is a producer for a famous guy. I won't say who. And I went backstage, and these guys are all it's a hip hop group, and they're partying and they're hitting dabs, and they're all having these red hot dabs and blasts, and they're coughing their asses off. And I'm too old for this. Like, my lungs are already shot from doing that for too long off bladers and shit, growing up. So I'm like, well, these guys gotta step in here and show them how to dab properly, right? So I was like, hey guys, let's turn this down, let's do this, and let's have a proper dab here. And all of a sudden they're blown away, like, oh my god, what a difference. These guys were on tour for like months, and these guys are smoking like hot dabs the whole time. And so I guess what I'm saying about it is it's not as much of a known fact by people that aren't in the industry, or people that aren't patients, and we take that for granted. And I obviously did. And it's something that the younger generation coming up, if they don't know, and many people just getting involved and starting to smoke dabs for the first time, you should know what you're getting into, and you should know what those temperatures are. But unfortunately, many people don't. So it's a good tool to honestly to save people's lungs over time, because these young kids, and they think you got to cough to get off type thing, and they don't understand the science that anything over 451 degrees, you're gonna end up like I got COPD and asthma. And I honestly believe some of that damage is because I was having hot dabs as a young kid growing up, and now I don't have near as many problems by having proper temperature dabs. I mean, I got COPD and asthma, so, and I don't really have a problem with it anymore like I used to when I was continually still having hot dabs. So it's a great device for sure.
Good.
That's interesting. I've heard that a lot. Yeah. Lower it down.
You heat up your nectar collector.
Yeah, you don't know for sure the nectar collector. Yeah, the thing is about nectar collectors is they usually go so quick, it doesn't really have time. But if it's sitting in a bucket, we find like in a banger, it seems to really burn worse the hot temperatures than like a honeybee collector or something like that. Because because I don't know, I'd have to figure it out and try to ask some scientists about it. But because it's coming up so fast, such a small pipe, I don't think it has as much time to burn unless you get it red hot. But even if it's even if it's hot compared to, like, let's say a banger, or like what you have with your what's called nail. Like when you have it at those temperatures, when those products go in there and sit in there at that temperature, I think then it really burns. Then it gets really bad. But I think, and I don't know, I'm not a scientist, but just from my own experience, that's what I find is nectar collector, you don't have to guess as much because it's so fast. But anything like e-nail or anything like a banger, if you have the wrong temperature, you're gonna know it.
Okay, I have a question from a viewer. They want to know if you have an option to have to not use a smartphone. Do you have to use this with a smartphone?
Yeah, unfortunately, you have to use a smartphone for it. There's limitations to the apps, but you have to use a smartphone for it. Yeah, yeah. We in order to not have a bunch of buttons, in order to be able to put it in your pocket and take it anywhere you go and stuff like that, we had to be able to use it with a smartphone because I've had problems with other devices and stuff before breaking in my pocket, not being very transportable and stuff like that. And the app, we like the app because again, the app is very customizable. So that's what we went with. It's a good system. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
and I'm an old school guy. I mean, having things like apps and stuff is kind of a new thing to me too. And I kind of had it like with my our team. They had to convince me because I was looking at putting the actual temperature on the front, but then by testing out and doing all the testing we found that those screens broke or other problems happened, stuff like that. But we also found that there wasn't as many options, and you didn't get to customize, and you didn't get to do all these things that we get to do now with having the app. So, I was convinced after trying it. We had prototypes both ways, and I was convinced. And I'm more of an old school guy, so if I was convinced, the rest of the guys were like, yeah, well, we got to do it that way then. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, they suggest that you should have both options eventually. It would be ideal.
Yeah, maybe someday we'll see. We have another design. We're gonna have different models come out, so maybe on the new model. But this particular one, we're gonna work with the app for sure. But yeah, thank you, I appreciate that. We will take that into consideration for sure. But I think, like I said, we're gonna have a couple different models. We've thought of a couple things that are kind of neat. So we're gonna have a couple options in the future that definitely might be one of the options that we play with. Yeah.
Good. Always build to things, right? Start at one point.
Well, something that's
better, right?
easily used, like user friendly, right? Too. When you're dealing with patients, people that may not have abilities to use their hands or whatever as well, too, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, for sure. We're looking at everything we can. We've already thought of other things, other ways of doing the kind of same design to offer other benefits, and we're patient driven. So one thing at a time, but definitely we want to make it as possible, as easy to use as possible for people, right? For sure. I mean,
absolutely.
We all want that. We all don't want anything complicated. We've all bought complicated shit before, and then we're like, what am I doing with this, right? So
yeah.
I mean, especially for cannabis stuff, like, man, I have a toolbox of old vaporizers and e-pens and
me too. Like, a suitcase full,
right?
And papers that I'll never use.
No, right? Exactly. I got a whole tool chat. I mean, and batteries of e-pens, and it's just like, oh my god, something that works is all you need.
I got these diamonds from a friend the other day, and I'm looking at them like, I opened it, and they were white, and I'm like, what is this? Is this meth? What is this? She wouldn't send me meth. It's diamonds. I'd never first seen it before. I was like, but they're beautiful. It's really nice, but I smelled it. Well, this is it. What is this? Yeah. It's great.
Yeah, there's some new products out there. The guys at Kootenai Labs, they just showed me some stuff at the last cannabis event. They had some really interesting new products, and one was kind of a diamonds. How to explain it? It looked like crack.
That's what I'm saying.
It was crazy. And I was like, I don't know if I should try this. And I mean, I've had a lot of things before.
Here, I'll show you.
And I mean, and I've seen other diamonds, but what he had didn't look like the same diamonds as before. And I'm like, whoa, man. And then
the last time I got diamonds, it was like kind of it was sparkly, but it was kind of an amber color, and it was like kind of gooey. And this stuff is like
just a rock.
Yeah, like seriously, like it's like And this is diamonds, right?
Yeah. See that kind of, so example, that kind of stuff. If you're dabbing, you want to dab that like your 410, 420, 420 probably. That's probably a good temperature for that. But if
as soon as you smell it, it's not. You can smell it's cannabis. The minute you put your nose down to it. The terpenes on this are just
Nice. So let's try that.
Yeah.
But yeah, on something like that, for example, like even on my profile for my phone, I have a diamond setting because I like diamonds, getting diamonds too, and so that's set at like 420. And then if I have like a terp sauce or slurp sauce, whatever you want to have, I have mine says terp sauce, and that's down at like 386 or something like that. So we kind of find your sweet spot, but that's a prime example of if you have from one end of the scale to the other end of the scale that you're smoking, it's nice to have some of those presets available so that you can just be like, because what happens is, and you're talking about hands free. So on the app, when the app goes and you set your parameters. So if you say, I want my parameters of 420 degrees and 380 degrees, the alarm will start going off when you hit 420. So your phone will vibrate and the alarm will go off. So you don't even have to look at it if you don't want to. So even if you don't want to watch it, you can be talking to your friend and talk away, and all of a sudden your phone will buzz and your alarm will go off, and then you know to hit it. And it'll go off until you're done, until it's out of the range. And when it's out of the range, you then know you have to heat it up again too.
Yeah.
Right? That's
so
funny.
Yeah, so it's nice and easy to do that way. But yeah, awesome.
Good.
Who, is that from a company, those diamonds? Is that from some producer that has a name?
Not that I'm aware of that I was given the information.
And someone I need to check out. Yeah.
I can't get it.
Always interested in finding new stuff.
I just have my own.
We're doing.
This is some grape escape rosin that I grew and I pressed, and me and a friend pressed.
Nice work.
He's really good at doing it. He watches temperatures. He watches his clock as far as the amount of time that he's squeezing things, the whole bit.
Nice.
So
it looks kind of goldeny green, so it looks
awesome.
good.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
We used to have two presses at the Best Buds, so patients would be able to come in and we had Amanda OG, one of our old bud tenders. She was awesome. She used to be able to tell people what they should have or whatever else, and she had a great sense for it. And people would take 2 or 3 or maybe 5 to get a gram of each. They'd mix it together and they go back there and they press them together and stuff like that and try making complementary strains together. And man, they came up with some wild combinations that were really, really good. And it's amazing because you can really fuck up a combination too, believe it or not. So it's it's amazing that way that it's just like fine wines and fine dining. If you really have a sense for terpenes and cannabinoids and stuff, it's pretty wild.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially when you have a press like the rosin press there, when people can, if we could get patients, some kind of patients community together, and hopefully people start pushing with vape lounges soon for patients, and start pushing those legalities and have a place for community for patients for vape lounges. But it's a perfect opportunity if they had places like that to have a rosin press to start putting all your stuff together and experimenting. It's so much fun to sit back for a night and sit back with some friends and press some things and try it out and see how that goes,
Right.
Yeah, I know the guy.
Things to do.
I know the guy who did this for me. He donated a whole whack of pressings to Chris down the East Coast.
Nice.
In order to help out, So this friend of mine, he has helped people, as well as helping me with my pressing, and helps others with access to things.
Nice.
And just so you know,
people like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's nice when people will help out that way. We're going to comment about vape lounges. We haven't got a lot of time left, and I wasn't planning on talking about that. But have you got anything out west as far as hearing discussion about vape lounges?
No.
Amsterdam Cafe. Amsterdam Cafe still runs in downtown.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You're right. Yeah. Absolutely.
So there is
nothing
like
on the island here, though. Nothing on the island that I'm aware of. Amsterdam Cafe, that's a little classic. Yeah. So Edmonton, when I was in Edmonton, they were doing consultations back in like 2017, and I'll give them credit. The city of Edmonton, the only place I heard about this in Canada, they sent city officials, councillors, whatever, down to the States. They went to, I believe, 2 or 3 states, and they went to different places, and they went to vape lounges, and they came back for recommendations. And Edmonton was the only city in all of Canada to go against the federal regulations and license and bylaw vape lounges.
Yeah,
and they also were the only city off the start to bylaw that anywhere you can smoke a cigarette, you can smoke a joint. Yeah. So Edmonton, good on them for doing that. I didn't think it would be Edmonton that did it, but they're the first ones that did it. So yeah. As far as vape lounges, I know that us with Best Buds in the future, after next month, what goes on, we're going to be very much looking at pushing forward with patients dispensaries and open right back up in Saskatchewan, like we were, like we said we would do. And we plan on probably having vape lounges in the back of those for patients.
On-site.
And if we have to, we'll push the button with that and see what their willingness to exercise, their judiciary powers is, and we'll see what happens. But I think the patients should have that. We need that, and I don't think there's any good reason not to. So we're definitely going to be looking at trying to have a safe space for patients to converse. As obviously now that counselors and consultants for cannabis have been taken off the board and there's nobody available, we need places like that for people to converse and get together and be able to talk and ask questions. So we're going to be doing that.
I worked with a patient who was going to Toronto for cancer treatments, and he found the VC, which is Vapor Central, a very handy location from his hospital in order for him to go there and medicate, where he knew he was in a safe location, where he wasn't worrying about doing it on the street, and especially come wintertime, someplace where it was warm.
Yeah. I mean, and some of the places in Toronto, they did awesome, in Etobicoke and stuff. And there was a lot of good vape lounges there. And Marco ran a good vape lounges there. People could go and hang out. And it was a good scene and good there. And I mean, a lot of young people, a lot of people in general, they don't have a place where they can smoke because of landlord rules or because of this and that. And they need to go somewhere, right? So it's a good it's a good place for people it's a good safe space. The first time I was in a vape lounge in Canada, it really surprised me, and it was awesome. And I mean, it was great. And I've been to Amsterdam a couple times, and in Amsterdam, you go to a cafe there. It's a great social scene. And I mean, I worked at bars and strip clubs, through university. So I mean, let's admit it. Vape lounges are a lot safer than any of those at any time, right? So. And at the end of the day, a bar is just an alcohol safe consumption site.
Yeah.
So if you can have an alcohol safe consumption site, why can't you have a safe consumption site for us cannabis patients too?
Exactly.
Right? So at the end of the day, that's all those other places were. But they have strippers stripping and all the rest, and they're okay with that at a place that serves alcohol and everything it does. So I think, again, it's a common sense fight that needs to be fought. It just hasn't came down to anyone fighting it yet. There's not many landlords that would take that challenge on, and there's not many people that want to invest the money to take that challenge on. So it's a tough spot we're in. But again, if we can organize ourselves to hopefully get together, it'd be great.
And the way that we knew them, like I wrote an article for Treating Yourself 10 years ago on the Vapor Lounges in Toronto.
It was great.
That style lounge, I would say, was probably gone in the new way of cannabis legalization, where people could openly smoke and dab, so on and so forth. And then you had all the entertainment, such as an alcohol bar, where you have, music, or you had comedians, or you had event nights. Excuse me. But I can't see them, coming back with the smoking end of things. More be probably about edibles and beverages.
Yeah. I mean,
because you're not allowed to vape anywhere. You're not allowed to smoke anywhere indoors. And
Like,
that's what it
here
boiled
in
down to
Ontario,
with the
we have-
vape lounges. Like even in British Columbia, you can't smoke or vape indoors anywhere. You have to be 6 feet away from the fucking door to smoke cigarettes or anything. So they're not going to allow people to smoke joints because it's a smoke. It's not about the marijuana. It's about the smoke. It's about I don't want the secondhand smoke. And that's being kind about it. But, because that's what I hear. Oh, I don't like the smell. I don't want the smoke. And it's smoke. Right? And indoor smoking. Like even if you had a great big ventilation system where everything went up, which because at VC it wasn't that bad. I've been in there a few times. It wasn't like total haze. Cannabis culture. Now that was a total haze. Like, because you're up like 5 stories.
Vapor Central had a ventilation system with canned air filters and stuff that hung from it. I think they had like 7 of them.
They did. A lot of bars have that there too, right?
Regulated. And they weren't the only ones who had those things. Marco had a filter.
Yeah, right. You know what? I don't mind if you have a spot outside to smoke joints. If you're combusting, go outside, smoke joints. Insides for vaporizing and extracts. And I mean, I don't have a problem with that. You know, as someone who doesn't
No.
smoke joints, and like I used to have a problem in the bars when we used to be able to smoke. I can remember working at nights. You guys remember the old bars? Fucking come home, and that's when I had hair, and I'd wake up in the morning, my hair would stink, and my clothes would stink, and
your fucking clothes would stink,
right? Just rotten. So I don't mind that, because if you go to vape lounges, I've never been done with a vape lounge. Walking home and like, oh, my shit stinks. But even if you walk into a lounge where they're smoking joints and shit, like people are gonna look at you funny going into certain stores and stuff.
It's gross.
So,
I get that a lot. You smell like a big doobie.
Yeah,
Thank you.
So, yeah, so what? Put them outside. Have a little area with a heater for the people who want to smoke a joint. Go for it. Go outside and smoke a joint. But inside, we got volcanoes. You got vaporizers. You got whatever else type thing. I think that's fair. I think.
Yeah. Well, I know we're getting comments about it should be up to the business to decide that. And I know back then when there was 10 lounges in Toronto,
we have bylaws in Canada. This guy's obviously from the States. We have legal bylaws in the States too.
The Hotbox Cafe, it didn't allow the smoking of cannabis inside. It was outside.
Patio.
Yeah.
And they had
the Canadian government will never go for inside. They never go for combusting inside. And then the thing is, where do you draw the line? Because I mean, I got some buddies and they just want to smoke Phillies and blunts and stuff. And I mean, it's just then they put tobacco in it and they you know what I mean? It's like, well, where do you stop that?
No blunts,
and I don't want fucking tobacco inside. That's gross.
No. Well, that was the thing.
If you put tobacco for cannabis, it's like, what in the fuck?
Right.
Yeah, we didn't even allow tobacco. You had a blunt or you threw tobacco in your pipe or whatever. Take it outside. They didn't want them. That was one of those rules.
Yeah,
that they had.
No, I'm good. I don't want them either.
Yeah. All right, we're down to the last 4 minutes, Pat. Where can people find more information on your case, and more information on Best Buds and how to get a hold of you?
Thank you. Yeah, we have just Facebook pages right now. Unfortunately, we had our community knocked down a couple times, and we don't have our website, but the website will be back up again soon. But Facebook is just Best Bud Society and BBS. Those are two Facebook groups. And we also have one called the Canadian Charter Challenge, and that one's for industry people that want to see what the written report from the judge, the decision. That's what I'm looking for. So that's but that's not until November 18th. We can't publicize anything till then. So after November 18th, I'll definitely be letting everybody know. I'll definitely be posting everything. Again, you can get us at the Best Bud Society. And Dabster.app is where you can have a look and find the Dabster if you'd like to see us there. Yeah.
Awesome. Good. Well, congratulations on winning that, because that's a win for everybody, and for taking the time in the 4 years and everything, because I was a witness in the Myrna case way back, right? Like, I can't remember what year that was now, 2009. I think.
Yeah, Matt's
like forever ago. Yeah, Matt's case. So I know how much it takes and how long it takes to, go through the rigmarole and all the affidavits and the depositions and stuff. So thank you. Thank you for doing that.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for helping us get our voices out and getting word out and getting getting some exposure for people to see what's going on. Everyone's got a kind of a part to play on the team type thing. So I appreciate you guys too. Thank you.
Yeah, well, we're here to help, spread the word, give people a voice, and this is an opportunity for us to help people know what's going on with your case. I saw the post in the group that you had won, and I thought this would be a great opportunity to have you on, even though you're under your publication for that, to get an update on what you could say, and hear it directly from you. So
nice, thank you.
And once you do have that the ability to get that, do a media hit, send a press release to every one of them.
So I gotta strategically plan that for sure. I have to look. I'll be talking to a couple people,
but I would definitely get that done. Like, get a media release out there, get it out there, so that
we already had
because a lot of people don't have,
we
people don't have access to computers and stuff, and we have patients that don't even know about this consultation. That Health Canada, it's only being accepted electronically. You can't even phone them and get a copy mailed to you.
Yeah,
we've got to go. Yeah, we got to go. Timers are running, all those things. Hang on, Pat. When we say goodbye to everybody else, I want to talk to you after the show just for a second. Sure. All righty. Other than that, thanks everybody for tuning in and watching. I'd like to remind everybody that you can find us on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. And thanks to our sponsors, BMA Hydroponics, Camelford Lifestyle Shop, and Legacy 420. Thanks to you, Pat, for everything you do and for coming on to the show tonight. Other than that, everybody, thank you for tuning in and good night.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.